Good morning. It's July 8th, and I want to welcome you to my live podcast from Southern California. I'm Bob Pace, and I'm here to talk about how to fight CPS and also keep your children. I warmly welcome all of you because you've reached out because you've encountered the child protection system, which is corrupt. It's very corrupt. And I'm sad to say that you need all the help you can. I'm not an attorney, but I'm a loving father of six children, been married 32 years, and I too have been succumbed by CPS. I've been fighting them for 15 years, and I have some rules that can help you um, fight them and get your children back or hang on to your children. The main thing is, I want you to relax, take a deep breath, and welcome to my room because I care about you as a person and I want to help every one of you. Now, there's several ways you can interact with this podcast. One of the first ways you can is to text a message. Now, when you're texting a message, I'm broadcasting on YouTube. You found me on Facebook, and I'm using the StreamYard application. So we need to pertain to CPS questions, the child protection system, and we need to, um, you know, I love to talk about other topics, but that is the main theme of this podcast. So please show your name, your city, state, or country, and be complete with your CPS case. It's very hard to play ping pong ball on here. You say a couple things and I ask, and then you say some more, then I ask, and then it goes back and forth, back and forth. It's best to start from the beginning, your first experience with the child protection system. And you want to start with your accusations. There's two types of accusations: there's negligence or abuse. Those are the two things that CPS is supposed to protect our children from. They're also supposed to do family reunification to bring the family back together when they break you apart. That's the sad part, that they have to break up a family. But sometimes it's necessary if the child is being abused or neglected. But most of the time they're taken away when they're not in imminent danger. So, bear with me and so forth. So please text in a comment. I love to respond. I think I have one right now. Hold on a second. I did have one. Let me see here. Ah, great. I think this is Kim from yesterday. Um, this is Nicole Denise Sheffield. And she says, do I know of any CPS defense attorneys in El Dorado County, California? I live in El Dorado Hills, California, and cannot find a CPS defense attorney. Well, welcome, Nicole from um, El Dorado County, California. I have one of my very first um, rules is I have an attorney. Um, Let me expose the. Okay. My attorney is Vincent W. Davis. He produces his podcasts. He's in the Southern California area outside of LA in Orange County. Not Orange County, she's in LA County. And he goes all over California, Northern California, Central California. He also does the states around the country. So he is a professional licensed family dependency lawyer. He has a track record of beating CPS and getting your children back. He also um, can fight CPS and does civil lawsuits, and he's won both state and federal cases, millions of dollars. So he's the real thing. He has 35 years experience, and he's a trial attorney. Right now, he's offering a consultation for 30 minutes of his time um, for $60. All you do is you call in at 888-888-6582. That's 30 minutes for $60, roughly $2 a minute, and it's worth every dollar, every penny. He knows the law inside out. He's the best there is. So call him and do a consultation. All you do is call 888-888-6582. That's the office. Tell them that Bob Pace sent you, and then schedule a consultation with him. Also, when you talk to Vincent Davis, you can tell him that I sent you, Bob Pace sent you. But he is the real deal. Furthermore, if you want to go check his calendar, you start off typing in calendly.com/law office VWD/Bob Pace. It's scrolling along the bottom of my screen. It's Candly, calendly.com/law office VWD/Bob Pace. That gets you to his calendar. So I strongly recommend you. Trying to fight this alone is not going to work. It's like open heart surgery with a CPS, the CPS system. They're very corrupt. They're not transparent. They lie. They do retaliation. They're an evil group. And I can say that from experience. I've talked to over 500 people in all the states, and that's all I heard. I've only come across one social worker that's talked to me for 40 minutes. Her name was Carol from Maryland, and she said she was trained and educated as a clinical psychiatrist, and that she had 6 months of training by Maryland for CPS work. Now, I've not heard anything more, and the people that have called me from Maryland have said just the opposite how bad CPS is. So I've only had one social worker. I challenge any other social workers to call in. My number is right there, by the way. It's 626-698-0990. And that will take you to my office phone. Um, uh, how do you prove that this is from Nicole from California. She says, how do you prove your child is not at risk of substantial danger at home? Can CPS prove this without testifying? Let me say it. Without uh, without falsifying reports. No, CPS will falsify reports. Is there any CPS defense attorneys that do not charge until they won your case? There are pro bonos. They're hard to find, but you can find them. I have many grounds for serious lawsuits here against El Dorado County CPS, and my court-appointed attorney refuses to correctly represent me. The court-appointed attorneys are a waste of time. They're a waste of time. They will not. They they're the worst court appointees to get. First of all, dependency court, you're guilty until you're proven innocent. All the other courts, all the other criminal courts, you're innocent until you're proven guilty. Also, the court appointed attorneys are much, much better in those courts. But in the dependency court, the court appointed attorney is lazy. He's friends of the social workers, he's friends of the judge. He'll not actively fight. He'll look for the easy way out. He'll steer you in the wrong direction. In fact, he won't even talk to you to the day of the hearing. So I had a court appointed attorney. It was a waste of time. You should get rid of him. You're better off defending him yourself than with a court appointed attorney. Now, as far as you mentioned pro bono, that's hard, but they are out there. But I tell you, for $60, you need to talk to Vincent Davis because he will tell you the strategies of how to fight CPS and get your children back. He knows a lot. And for $60, it's a lot of information in 30 minutes. And he's very kind. He has his own podcast. He will help you. He does care. He does care. And I realize that your area is bad. All the areas are bad. Your case you may think is the worst around, but there's cases after cases after case. I can tell you horror stories. Finding CPS is like you're in Alice in Wonderland. You've fallen in that rabbit hole and you can't get out. You go through all those rooms that go nowhere. Things like off with your head. I mean, that's what they do. They want you because of the money. It's a money making thing. They make $80 billion a year that the child protection system has when they take your kid into custody. 80 billion. My children, three of them, were $60,000 per month that the federal government was paying the state, who turned around and paid the county um, CPS system. And that's sad, but that's the truth. The social workers in my state um, are not licensed, they're not college educated, and they work on bonuses. They don't even have the experience. They don't even have the experience to uh, know how to do family reunification. They've never taken the parenting classes, the programs. They've never done any of that. And all they worry about is their bonus to buy their new Gucci purse, their eyelashes, their eye makeup, their accessories, their clothing, their BMW car. That's all my social worker talked about. So I'm telling you, they're horrible people. I'm telling you this. Right now, you can look up on the internet the year 2022 at Prescott, Arizona. In Prescott, Arizona, there are a group of social workers that decided to buy pink t shirts with the word stenciled on the front: professional child kidnappers. And on the back, do you know where your children at? Those two messages were awful. They paraded themselves at Walmart and Target and other department stores in Prescott, Arizona. The year is 2022. Look it up, Pink Ladies. Look at the message. They're professional child kidnappers. And on the back, where are your children? They are out there looking for children to take, to steal, to traffic. Traffic is illegal, but CPS does it all the time. They traffic your children into foster care. They alienate you. Alienation is against the law. And they alienate you from your children. That is wrong. They don't care. They don't care about your constitution or civil rights. They'll go and do what they want to do, all because of money. It's a money, money, money thing. So I'm telling you, you need to get a attorney, somebody that will fight for you, because you're hopeless doing what you have to do. And I would love to give you some more, um, like a pro bono type lawyer, or is that such a thing with CPS? First of all, CPS won't offer you any help. You got to find the attorney yourself and start off with a consultation of $60. It's cheap insurance, and Mr. Davis will help you. All you have to do is call in at 888-888-6582. You have nothing to lose, and he will help you. He will help you. You try to reach out to him, but you're out of time. I'm pretty sure you can reach him. All you have to do is call the office or look at his calendar and see which days are printed. You can also get a continuance if you're telling the court. If you tell the court that you are hiring a attorney and you need 90 days, you can ask for that. The judge can grant that. But you got to get rid of your court appointed attorney, because right now, with the court appointed attorney, the judge will only talk to him. He will not talk to the parent. So you have to be pro se, meaning you fired your court appointed attorney, you represent yourself. They'll give you enough time to talk to Mr. Davis. They'll give you enough time to talk to Mr. Davis. He is reachable. He has a podcast. Check his schedule. He's almost on all the time on the podcast. He devotes his time there. Check that uh, website I told you, Candely, CALENDLY.com /law office VWD /Bob Pace. That's his calendar. That tells him when he is opening. So check it out. It's really, really important. Okay, got good news for that. That's my rule number 4. Um, how you can find out is that you go to the internet. It is the power. It's the one that's going to win your case. I know the corruption's bad, but you can also protest to the civil rights coordinator at the state level. Um, you know, there are ways you can do that, but the internet is so valuable. You just look up CPS and then you put your county and state, and you'll see all the things that pop up. If you want to know something specifically, type it in, but make sure you have the word CPS and you have your location in there. The internet will help you. It's a great, valuable source. That's my rule number 4. All of you that are listening should do a background on CPS in your city and state. That will really help you. There's so much there that they'll talk about your rights and about the CPS system and what you can do. I recognize that the county here is really bad, and they want my child because they want the money. They are taking your son. I know you have the proof, but in order to get the proof, you have to either pro se it with you represent yourself or have an attorney like Mr. Vincent Davis. Your court opponent will not help you. No, it's all right, Denise. And if you want to call in and talk, we can talk. I have no problem. You ask all you want because you're in a terrible, terrible situation. I'm here to help you. Um, I know research. It's 40, 60 hours a week when you look at all the stuff they can. Um, but you have to word your words right. I've had people call in from Iowa and can't find anything, and I will go do the research and find the link for them. So I know it's possible. There are websites in the county, there's websites at the state level that you can research and look at it. Yeah, there is ways to look up lawsuits with CPS. Yes, there is. There's lots of that. Again, I encourage all my listeners, you can call in at 626-698-0990. Furthermore, if you want to be a guest on my podcast, all you do is that you want to schedule with my show producer. Her name is Grace. She works really, really hard. And you email her at grace at vincentwdavis.com. That's grace at vincentwdavis.com. Tell her that you want to be on my podcast and pick one of the 14 show times. I'm on every day of the week at 10 in the morning except Sunday. I'm on at 8. I'm on every day of the week at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So all you have to do is say, I want to be on Bob's Sunday morning show, Bob's evening show, um, Thursday evening show, or Wednesday morning show. You just pick one of those 14 days, email Grace at vincentwdavis.com, and she will help you with uh, uh, the link to SteamYard and tell you what to do and say and everything. I put my phone number back up because I want everybody to call at 626-698-0990. You can call in now live and talk to me on the show. I love to try to help you. Right now, we've been talking with Nicole out of California, and she has a bad case up in her county. Um, it's really, really bad. Yeah, you can do that on my show. You can sit there and pick my brain. I have no problem about doing so. Just be a guest on my show, and we can talk about your case, Nicole. Whatever you do, take a deep breath. Don't panic. It's not the end of the world. There is a solution. It just takes time, and you don't like the time. My case took 3 years to get my two of my three children back. My one child, my daughter. who tomorrow is going to be 22 years old, and she was taken from me at 12. Furthermore, because the social worker was caught saying a lie when she was cross examined, she retaliated by convincing her 12-year-old daughter to divorce us parents, to change her name, to seal her birth certificate, and be adopted in foster care. But she had a falling out. The foster parents hurt her, so she's no longer with them. She's living with our other daughter. But still, today at age 21, 22 tomorrow, she doesn't talk to us. She is talking to her brothers. I encourage that. Her brothers, they still see her and talk to her. Right now, she's with my sister and they're enjoying themselves in Hawaii, which is well deserved for my two girls. I'm just glad they're taking my older daughter's children with them and her husband and stuff. So that's really good. Anyway, Denise, don't panic. That we'll work it out. It's interesting. You can also ask the court for a continuance. You have grounds for a continuance because you want to hire an attorney. You fired your other attorney. You want to hire another attorney. Ask for 90. They may only give you 30, but at least ask for 90. They'll give you 3 months to get an attorney. Um, where are the kids right now? Where is the? What were the allegations that you was neglect or abuse? And where are the children? Are they with next of kin? Hopefully with family members. Weather in California is strange. We have heavy fires. Right now we have coastal fog because last night it got so hot and it hit the ocean waters and it made fog. And so right now it's cool. It's only 60 degrees in the morning here. It's after 10 o'clock. I just can't believe. Yesterday morning it was hot, no wind or anything. But today we got the cool ocean breeze. So thank goodness I still got that ocean. But I'm away from the fires, and there's no fires at the beach. Now, anybody else, please continue to text your comments in. I mentioned countries. Right now, we've had Australia and Canada and Mexico uh, text messages in. From Europe, we had the United Kingdom, we've had Denmark and Sweden. And from South America, we've had Ghana, a little country east of Venezuela and north of Brazil on the coast. And then from Africa, we've had Mozambique, south of Somalia, north of South Africa, and west of Madagascar Island there. And then next to Mozambique in the central East Africa, we had Rwanda. And then after Rwanda, we've had um, on the west coast, northern Africa, we've had Liberia, a guy named Archie, who's a scout leader there that really is called in the show several times, text messages. So we've had a lot of interest worldwide, and they want to know how we're treating CPS, and they tell me how bad CPS there. So you're not the only ones. There's a lot of people in CPS problems. And Nicole said, I had my son back, and they just took him again a week before my case was closed because my CPS ongoing worker is retaliating against me for going through the proper process to have my fiance added to my housing choice voucher that she got for me and my son and allow him to move into her home when she wants to leave my fiance, who's been nothing short of amazing to myself and my son and super supportive. They contacted El Dorado County Sheriff's and liberally set me up. Oh, I'm so sorry. I am so sorry that they would do that to you. This is the first time I've heard about El Dorado County. What part of California is El Dorado County? I'm trying to understand that. Nicole further says, do you know of a website that I can go so I can look up local CPS lawsuits is as I'd like to read other cases and counties in there. All you have to do is Google it. Let me see here. I'll try to Google it myself here and give you the link. Um, okay, I got a link for you. Um, Let me copy it and I'll post the link to you. I'll post the link. Okay. Now I'm going to put the link in here. It's going to show up in all my rooms that are visiting. So it's going to show up multiple times here, Nicole. But there's the link. They'll take you to what you're asking for. It's going to go through all the rooms. And you'll see that link. And hopefully that will help you. All I did is very easily typed in the word uh, hopefully you found it. Well, then you're going to have to type in the name El Dorado County CPS lawsuit cases in California. Type in that El Dorado County CPS lawsuit cases. Maybe put El Dorado County, comma, California CPS lawsuit cases and see what you come up with. See what you can come up with. Researching the internet may take you 40, 60 hours a week, but I really know that you can find it. It's, the Google thing is a powerful tool, and if you learn how to phrase your words the right order, it'll locate it really. Okay, good. To any of my other listeners out there, are you guys awake or you have any questions to ask me? My phone number is up. You can call me at 626-698-0990. Now, I've just, told you a little about CPS. Well, let me tell you something further. I did talk about the pink ladies, but also there's another lady that's a social worker. A couple months ago, put on her Facebook page an ad from 1848. 1848, before the Civil War, and the ad said, "Black children for sale." Now, I don't know why she would put that up on her Facebook page. This is the year 2024. What does black children have to do for sale. I mean, are they implying that the local CPS are going to sell black children? I don't know. The social worker to put up there is black herself, so I don't know what the message is. A black social worker from Chicago, Illinois, put up on her Facebook page an ad called "Black Children for Sale." Black children for sale. I don't know about these social workers. I don't know if they're stupid or what, but they're evil. They're so bad. They are not your friend. They will not protect you. They will not do family reunification. They hate parents. They hate seniors. They hate elders. Their whole goal is to make the $80 billion money they make every year. It's ridiculous. It is totally ridiculous what they're doing. Um, I mean, there are just terrible, terrible stories of what they've done. They've led people on, and then a couple days before they get their children back, they take them off. Just like this lady here from El Dorado County in California. Um, they just are just so bad. I went and tried to fight CPS. I went to the director in Orange County. It's a waste of time. He works in a place that looks like the Taj Mahal of India, or like the Emerald City in the Wizard of Oz. And it went in one ear, went out the other. They don't care. They do not care. You cannot depend on the social worker. So moving on from rule one to get an attorney, rule two is to do your paperwork. My problem is I'd put everything on post-it notes and letters and pieces of paper as a hodgepodge. You need to get yourself a three-ring notebook, at least 6 inches thick. Stuff it full of notebook paper, college rule, and then get yourself some subject tabs and divide it. And you need to have subject tabs like incidents, like programs, like parenting classes, like court papers, info. I can go on and on. Your school records, your medical records. This paperwork is you should have a hole puncher because you have to punch 3 holes to put the documents that don't have holes in them. One of the most important subjects is your incidents. You need to keep track of what happened, when it happened, who the people involved. So you put down the date and the time. You have the date and the time, and then you put down the location and then the people involved. The next line, you want to write what the incident was about. You visit the CPS and system headquarters, or you had the police come by, whatever it is, whatever the incident is, you describe it like in one sentence what it is. Then you want to have the outcome. How did the thing end? Did it get resolved or is it still open? If it's still open, you have to come back to it later, so leave a blank. Then skip a couple lines and put the next incident and so forth. That whole thing is so that a year from later you come back and say on this such and such a date this happened. It's very important to keep track of all the incidents that will happen to you, whether with the police, CPS, the children, neighbor, whatever the incident was that related to the CPS case. Then another tab would be the information tab. It's where you list all the websites you found, the phone numbers, the people that can help you, all the contacts. That piece of paper is your info page and about there. Then what you want to do is you want to have your next thing called the parenting classes that you've taken. Make a log and then put all the certificates behind the log. Hole punch them and put them in your notebook. Then you also have a thing called programs, like domestic violence program, anger management program, uh, your drug program. Anyway, you make a log of all those programs and you put the certificates from those programs behind. Another tab would be a tab with your court records, all the court papers that come and go. You list them by the dates and then the times, and you put them in that order. You make a log of all the court papers so you can find what you're looking for. Another subject tab will be your health records for your children, your birth certificates. You got to make sure you have them. Don't let them. There's things with birth certificates that if you don't get the parents put in at the time of birth to walk away, CPS will get a birth certificate and put a foster care parent in there. It's very important. Do not leave the hospital with your child, but you also don't leave the hospital without your birth certificate. There's they have by law they give it to you, and you should have both names, the father and the mother, and that should be in there. So then you want to have that in your notebook. You want to have your school records of your kids, your grade reports, those kinds of things. Anyway, this notebook's going to get so filled. I don't know if 6 inches is enough, but I don't know if they make them bigger than 6 inches. But anyway, it's very important you have all these subject tabs and all these incidents in there, and that you can, recognize things a year later. Where if you need it to show it to your attorneys, you need to show it to the judge. If certain things that you're, you know, that let's say they're missing a parenting class or something there. So I behoove you to have a good job in this notebook, have your medical records, your birth certificates, the social security number, all the stuff pertaining to your kids, even their height and weight, and their age, their birth dates, and the place they were born. You need a lot of that. You need a lot of that. And hopefully you'll have a supporting spouse involved. You have a boyfriend, or if you're a father, you have a girlfriend, or a wife, or a husband. You need support from those people because you're alone fighting this crazy world. You're Alice in Wonderland. You're going through doors. You don't know what you're doing. There is nothing that uh, that you can really do. So make track that you have this paperwork because I didn't and I should have. Your rule number 3 is that you should say no to police and no to CPS. You shouldn't talk to them. If they come up to you and ask you a question, they say, "Is your name such and such?" You say yes, but you don't go there and tell them I was born in such and such. You don't give all this information. It's yes, no answers. And at any time you feel comfortable talking to the police or talking to a social worker, you can say, I need a timeout. I need to speak to my attorney about this before I go any further. Your right to representation. If it's a criminal act, they can either give you a traffic violation or they can arrest you. Uh, they have to do so. Otherwise, move on. Don't sit there and talk to them. Don't hang out with them. And wherever you do not go in the house, don't let them in your house. Even if they ask you to, they need a court order to come in the house, or they need some type of danger that's taken place that your children that they need to go in, such as there's domestic violence going on. The father is strangling the kid's neck. The someone has got a knife. Someone's got a gun. Those are things called imminent danger to children. Because a child's in school doesn't give them the right to take a child out of school. That was my case. My children were in school, and they took them from school, and they put them in danger. They automatically took my children to a foster care shelter in Orange County next to the prison of juvenile. The juvenile prison was there, and their play yard was the same play yard as the juvenile prisoners. What kind of safety is that for your child? And on top of that, the play yard was infested with bee nests, and the kids could get stung or were stung. That's where my children were placed. The food was terrible. The place was dirty. It was overcrowded. And their idea of a school was to read a book. Now, my three children were in the STEM program. That means they were taking a science, a technology, engineering, a math class. They weren't taking learning how to do ABCs or how to do one, two, threes. That was wrong. So that's their idea of CPS thinks to put kids in safety. It was bad. It was so bad, and I'm sorry that that you have to go through it. It was really hurtful for me. I have never been so humiliated, and my case was drawn out for the first 5 years. I had all these accusations done by my in-laws. I did not know my in-laws were doing this too much later, but they were the ones calling in, making up stories, and I would prove them wrong every time for 5 years. Then one day, the social workers uh, called the police and they got a detective to follow me and use trickery to get me to my home. And I, at that time, did not know about not in your home. So, rule number three is you do not let them in your home and you don't answer the door. Now, when I say answer the door, there's a gentleman that answered the door on May 3rd. He was 23 years old. He was a veteran in the Air Force as an airman. And on top of that, you know, he was alone in his apartment talking to his girlfriend on FaceTime. And she was seeing him and he was seeing her. And this sheriff in Gainesville got reported domestic violence. So he went to the apartment complex that was pretty much, locked down and so forth. And the lady said, "Well, I think it might be this apartment." But instead of him checking around with neighbors or listening on the wall or looking in windows, he did nothing of that sort. He came to the door and roughly banged the door several times before he said anything. Well, the gentleman inside was worried for his safety. He grabbed a gun. He had a license to use the gun, but the gun was pointed downwards. And so he finally heard the sheriff in a gruff voice say, "Open up." Well, he opened up the door. As soon as he opened the door, he was shot point blank 5 times. It killed him on the spot. And yes, the sheriff investigated their own and he was removed. He was terminated. But that doesn't bring back the guy's life. That guy is dead. His mother's devastated. They're from Alabama. They went to a good high school and they have a real good attorney that's going to, I don't know what they're going to get from a guy like that, but that guy is bad news. That guy is bad news. So the message is don't answer the door. You don't want to be shot. And also, policemen shouldn't stand in front of a door. They need to learn how to crouch and lay to the side of a door jamb because you can be shot too. Policemen are so stupid. And why do they have to shoot them in the heart? Why can't they shoot them in the shoulder, the leg, the arm? They're supposed to be marksmanship. I mean, I hear that story over and over. So don't answer the door. Hide in the other part of the door. Also, there's medical trafficking that goes on, and that's where you take your child in to urgent care. And sometimes the CPS workers are called or brought in, they take away your children. You got to be really careful when you do that. Don't give them up. They need a court warrant. And at 2 o'clock in the morning, they won't have a court warrant. They can't take your children. They may think they can, but they can't. Also, if you're pregnant, please ahead of time make rooms for that arrange for the hotel that only you and your people can be in the birthing room because what's happened now is that social workers and police are going into the birth room and taking the child because of some reports of the mother having drug levels or something like that. No, the child belongs to the mother, and then investigation needs to ensue. But they don't belong in there. So watch out the medical trafficking. Watch out coming into your home, and watch out what you're saying. Don't say it because they'll use that against you. Everything you say, they'll be used against you. And an easy way to get out is just say, "Look, I need a timeout. I need to talk to my attorney." And you have that right. They can't stop you from that right. So I'm telling you, is that you definitely have to follow rule number three. It's the most important one. Rule one is get an attorney. Rule two is organize your paperwork. Rule three is no to police or CPS social workers, and don't let them take your child, and don't let them in your home. If they have a court warrant, that's a legal document. It's got to be legitimized. It should have a wet signature by the judge and an embossed stamp where the paper is raised. You can feel it. The embossed stamp of the court. And it specifically has to describe what it is. It's a warrant to such and such for the following allegations of these children. And you write the children. Furthermore, it's got specific to say what day they can enter the home or talk to them, what date and time, and the address of where the home is. And they got to say specifically what they're planning to do: speak to you, take your children, or whatever. That's what a court warrant is. A lot of times, CPS will make copies of the court warrant. They cheat, they lie. You will not believe it, but this government agency that is a branch of social service is very corrupt. Very, 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 very corrupt. So that was rule number three. And rule four, I've already talked about. That was to search the internet about your CPS in your area. You need to dig into the internet. It has so many things. I have right now 94 tabs loaded right now of CPS related events and things, such as ICWA, the Indian Child Welfare Act. That was instituted and passed by Congress in 1978. Its sole purpose was to protect the Native American children because for over 140 some years, since 1875, CPS was putting the children, taking the children and not return them to the parents because the parents didn't know. It's so sad how we abused the Indians. In 1875, they were starting to be put on reservations. The wars were being fought. The Little Bighorn, the only war the only battle that Native American Indians won was a battle of Little Bighorn. General Armstrong Custer, and there was Crazy Horse and Sitting Bull. Anyway, they were placed on reservations. They had their hair cut off. They had their identity trying to be erased. They couldn't speak the language. You couldn't wear the clothing, and it was really sad. So it took them almost 100. It took almost 100 years for them to pass that law, and it's being contested recently. Last year, some people got on the bandwagon and said it was unconstitutional. They lost. That WICA is still in place. And if you are American, Native Indian, or your children are, you have a right to ask for the social workers to contact the tribe. Now, the tribe has to be one of the 547 federal recognized tribes. The Rosebud Lakota Sioux Reservation is one of them. The Crow, the Cheyenne, then there is the Navajo, and then there is the Comanche and the Apache, and the Chumash Indians in California, Indians up in Alaska. All of them are federally recognized. What CPS needs to do, the Child Protection System needs to write a letter seeing if the child is registered or could be registered. On top of that, you should contact the tribe. You should contact. Recently, I've had some Cherokee on this podcast, and you should contact them. So, DICWA is very important. So, make sure, and you should contact the Indian tribe too, and try to do the same things. Don't trust CPS to do it for you. They're liars. They are really, really, really liars. Now, Nicole said some other things. She says also people need to learn how to dress appropriately. It does not help when you show up to court and look better presented than your attorney that literally just rolled out of bed and showed up. Well, that's your court appointed attorney, so they're useless. I've seen parents show up to the hearings wearing fishnet crop top shirts and pajama pants. I can only imagine the, uh, the outcome of their cases. Well, yeah, my dependency courts were corrupt. I don't care if you show up in coat and tie; they didn't care. But you're right. Some parents don't know how to dress up for court. It's very important. Don't I don't think parents realize how important your parents actually is, especially in a dependency case. It is. Yes, I wish I knew that I didn't have to open the door because had I not, this wouldn't have had my son right now. You're right. You're right. We all think we have to open the door. Just think in your mind about that young man at 23, the black man killed, a veteran killed point blank by 5 bullets. 5 bullets. It's sad, and I feel for everybody. I feel for that mother. You know, yeah, they may win a civil lawsuit against that sheriff, but it's not going to replace the child. It's not going to replace the child. So right now, I have about 9 minutes left of the show. I would like you all to um, call in at 626-698-0990 if you want to talk. You can text me. Um, just show your name, your city, state, or country, and we can talk about your case there. And don't forget, you can also um, schedule an appointment. All you have to do is email Grace at vincentwdavis.com. That's Grace at vincentwdavis.com. She'll take care of the rest. And I'd love to have you as a guest on my show. Um, I know many of you are wondering what to do, and it's the hardest thing. And getting an attorney is probably the hardest thing ever because it does cost money. It does cost money. And so I'm telling you, that is the key to success of your case. It wasn't my case. It wasn't my case. Now, there's another tab I have that talks about the 388 motion. That's a motion to petition the court to have a hearing of some new information, such as you completed your parenting classes or your program or your programs or other things. What you do is you file that order to show the petition to have a hearing, um, and the judge has to within 30 days. Make sure it's properly served. It has to go to the children's attorneys, the social work attorneys. All the people got to be served. Judge has 30 days to have a hearing called, and that's where you get a chance to talk before the judge. But I have a lot of information that I found on the internet that can help you. You just specifically ask in the right order. You specifically ask it in the right order. Okay, I use the word child protection system because there's so many acronyms. In California, it's Child Protection Services. In Arizona, it's Department of Children's Services. In Georgia, it's Department of Children and Family Services. Every state's going to have different acronyms. There's no proper name. You just, if you type in the word CPS, you'll get what you're looking for. It's the Child Protection System, is what I call CPS. It doesn't mean necessarily Child Protection Services, even though California does call those people there. So you start off, you know, when you're looking for something, you start off with the first word being the important word is the CPS. So you start off with CPS and then you want to give the locations, the city and the state. And you so CPS in the city and state. That's all you have to do to start it off with. You may want to put in there CPS lawsuits and then the city and the state. CPS lawsuits. So it takes practice after a while, and you'll get it. You'll get it. So it's just how you do the hierarchy of words. And the most important word you have to think about is the CPS, the Child Protection System, and it will work. And then you need to do the location, or then you need to put in what specifics you're looking for: lawsuits, uh, how to hire an attorney, how to find an attorney. I mean, you will spend hours upon hours, but after that time, you'll be richly rewarded with the information you find. You'll see YouTube videos. There's a lot of YouTube videos of your first day in dependency court, on your judicial hearing. There's a flow chart that's so excellent to use. The steps. Did you know that when you first are contacted and they want to remove their children, they have to work with you for next of kin to put the children with, and the next kin don't have to be in your state. They can be in other states. They have to provide next of kin. They're going to check them out, of course, but you can put them with the next of kin while you're going through this affair. That's sometimes the best scenario. Is I find that take the children yourself out of state, put them with their grandparents or your sister or brother's kids or whatever the case would be. Have them moved out of state and have them with them. Then come back and fight the case yourself. They can't get your children, and they're going to grow tired and weary because they can't get the money. See, that's the problem is if they don't have your children, they get no money. If they get no money, they're going to drop the case because they can't afford to keep it open. There's other people they can go after. So I'm telling you, you need to uh, get your children safe. They came knocking at your door, that's your time to start to take your kids and go to another state. I'm sorry I have to say this, just like abortion now. You got to be heads up on abortion. You got to be heads up on CPS. Every state's different. And you have to be careful because I had a case where the woman was going into a special surgery at Boston Hospital in Boston, Massachusetts. She prearranged to put her young children with her mom, the children's grandparents. But that was another state. She went to Rhode Island, deposited them, put them there. Thought they were safe. But because Boston, Massachusetts, and Rhode Island are really close to each other, the social workers found out about it, went to the grandparent who didn't know anything, and she turned over the children, and they got the children back. And all she was doing was a surgery that she needed to have done. These social workers are so money hungry. They they're like roaches. I mean, they just live in quarters. They're dirty. They're filthy. They're corruption. I'm sorry I'm saying this because my daughter's birthday is tomorrow, and I don't get to celebrate her 22nd birthday. Why? Because some social worker was upset because she said a lie, and she's retaliated, and it's hard for me. My daughter was with me to the age of 12, and now she's going to be 22. And I'm sorry to talk about it, but it does hurt. It does hurt. And I want to thank all of you for listening. That's getting close to the show time being over. But it's a very emotional time you're going through. I want to thank Nicole Sheffield from El Dorado County in California for sharing her predicament. I hope that she's able to get something out of the show. Please come back. I'll be on again tonight at 10 o'clock. And again tomorrow I'll be on at 7 o'clock tonight. And on tomorrow at 10. That's 7 o'clock Pacific time tonight. And so I'm glad that Nicole was here and she able to get some of her answers. So I'm saying right now, keep fighting for your kids. Don't give up. Do not give up. Think safely, research, follow my 4 rules. And God bless you. And this is Bob Pace signing.